Hi, my name's Brian Horner, and we're doing the continued series of the Etnyre touchscreen controls. Today what I'd like to talk about is the setup screens. So in this computer, we can set and tailor this machine according to how you want to operate it. So obviously I've already turned the power on and I've come up to my main screen. So what I want to do then is go to the little gear icon. When I touch that, now I'm going to come up to, I want to set up. So if I touch setup, it's going to ask you for the login password. That password is actually the Oregon, Illinois zip code, which is 61061. Once we've entered that, we can then log in, and that passcode, being a zip code, is on a lot of our decals. One being down here. It'll just say E.D. Etnyre, Oregon, Illinois, and it will give you the zip code, so if you happen to forget. But just remember, it's the Oregon, Illinois zip code. So once we've come up into our setup screens, it will come up to the point of normally factory. So none of these are changeable. You can't change any of these in the factory setting. So no matter if you touch on them or not, nothing's going to change because this is the way we set the truck up. Well, there are some things that may want to be changed to tailor the truck to the way you want to spray. Similar to the minimum flow, which is what our pump does when it's just circulate or spraying. It won't go any lower than that. Maybe you want to change your circulation factor, which is basically what that does to try to eliminate fat spots on takeoff. We can make this number go from 50% and higher, or even lower if need be. But what it really does for you on the circulation factor is it looks at it and says, if I was spraying the rate I have set, I was spraying at 300 feet a minute, what would my pump be turning? And once I shut that spray bar off, it circulates in the bar at 50% of whatever that calculated rate was. So then when I take off and I hit my spray bar, I don't get my full rate at the beginning. It gets rid of the fat spot. So let's just look at some of these. If I want to change those and save them for my own benefit, I can, let's say, go to memory 1. So if I want to say, okay, I'm shooting tack today. Well, I can change, I don't even have to leave memory 1 there. If I touch and hold, it will bring this up and I can name it whatever I want. So I can, I can delete these. And let's just say I want to make it say tack. So I can label that tack and I can hit enter, and now my memory is saved as tack. So a lot of times in tack, we'll want to bring this circulation factor up to about 70%. Otherwise, it doesn't turn the pump fast enough to keep anything warm when you're sitting still. So if I want to label that tack, I can make this go up to 70% or maybe even 75%. Let's go there. And you'll notice as soon as I change something, it came up as save or reset. Well, once I change it, I'm going to have to save it in order for it to stay in that memory. So I would simply hit save, and now that 75% is there. If I go back to factory, you notice it dropped back to 50%. And if I go back to my tack setting, whatever I had in there will save. So I could change any of these to tailor the truck of how I wanted it to work and save up to 4 different factory or personalized settings within the computer. So you'll have memory 1, 2, 3, 4, or if I go here and hold that, that says tack, you can enter that, and that should save. So let's go a little further. Page 2, other things that I can change. This we will not change unless you add spray bar. You really need to tell it that I added spray bar. Maybe I changed the nozzles and I want my nozzle indicator to work correctly. Then I would change the nozzle, and if you bump through these, it will give you every nozzle that we offer. So pick the correct nozzle that you have in your bar. We'll have that. Nozzle range indicator also has to do, am I spraying all the nozzles? Am I spraying one nozzle per foot? Or am I spraying every other nozzle? So you'll have to determine that so your nozzle range indicator will work correctly. Don't worry, we'll do a video just on nozzle range indicator. So we're gonna go back here to all. Tank valve, auto or closed, what that does is allows us, if we have material in the tank and we need to check something or something's not working right and we don't want to flood our pump with material, we can select closed. And now when I go through all my other functions, circulating bar, circulating tank, spray, whatever, I'm not going to get any material out of my tank into my system, so I'm not filling my system with cold product. So most of the time, that just remains in auto. Same way with power return, we'll explain that in more detail in future videos. And if your truck is equipped with spray marker valves, you'll have to tell it that it's equipped so there. If I go to page 3, it will allow me to enable or disable default codes. So if you get different fault codes that keep popping up on your screens that says, hey, something's not right, you know you fixed it, or you don't have time and you don't want to see that keep popping up and clearing it every time, you can actually go in and disable those fault codes. Then we can change our joystick deadband or our taper switch deadband. Basically what that does is make the joysticks, or in the cab you'll have taper switches, it will make them more or less sensitive as you move them. Then another video that will come up is if we ever have to change the program in the displays in the computer, that's where we would use these icons, but as I said, we'll go into those in more detail later. So you can leave this on any screen that you want when you log out, but I'm going to go back to the factory setting and then I'm going to log back out and it'll clear. But while we're on this screen, I want to show you another thing, machine calibrations. If I touch that, this is the screen, and we'll do a video for each and every one of these, but this will give you the screen that says, hey, I need to calibrate my radar, I just put a new pump on and I need to calibrate the EDC threshold, maybe I need to calibrate my tank gauge. I can calibrate my thumb wheels or calibrate my joysticks. So I would be able to go into each and every one of those and calibrate those directly on the machine. But those will be for future videos. So if I want to get out of this, I can simply back up with the arrow and go out, or I could simply hit the Etnyre logo and it would take me back to the home screen. So that's just a little bit of explanation of what happens in the setup screen. One more quick time. Setup is the gear. To setup, because I did not log out, it brought me right into the screen. I didn't have to put the passcode in. But if I recycle the power and come back, you'll have to re-enter your code. So we'll log out. Now I would have to re-enter that code. If I get an error here, I can just hit ignore. So one more time. Gear, setup, we'll enter the 61061, hit login. Then I come back to my screen. Now, if you were questioning, and I went through this sort of fast, but what does my pump threshold actually do? If you would press the yellow part, it will bring up an explanation of what the pump threshold does. You can read that, or if you want to know, hey, what's my flow factor or my circulation factor? Touch that. It will explain to you what the circulation factor does at that point. So all these are explained within the computer. Smart Clean, or any other icon that you want. Your spray delay off will explain what the spray delay. So that way, if you have a question of, hey, do I want to adjust this or don't I? Please read the explanation of what you're actually adjusting. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that. But once we have everything set, if you change it, if I change anything here, I'm there. If I change something, what we're just going to do, we're going to set this, whoops, we're going to take this down to 70%. And where did my tack go? We'll label that as tack, enter. It stayed there, and then now it saved it, because as soon as I change something, it's going to ask me to change or save, and boom, I'm done. So once all that's done, please always remember, log back out, and then it will save it automatically also. So that's just a short explanation of what everything happens in the setup mode.